So well, I gotta calm down. When Robin was talking about,
just relax. That's fine.
When Robin, well, it gets you when Robin was talking about how the little ones are, and I think my first sighting, I really attached to the little one, and when I was focusing the camera in on it at 70 yards, his eyes were connected with me, and at that time, it was giving me this meltdown, and I was to a point to where I was walking off like she says, but not knowing why. And I was like, why would you want to do that? It's right there. You're seeing one. Then your mind says you're looking at a Bigfoot. And I went into that meltdown with the little one. And then when I walked off, I'm in my truck starting it. I'm driving off and I'm like, don't know why. And I'm almost in tears because I'm doing this. But with the little voice, the calm voice that came to me says, just come back another day. Just come back another day. And with me, with the respect of this, I did that. And then when I said I came back another day, it took another year and I got back, but in the area and saw it again. And this time it was with the red one. And when the red one had popped out, it scared me so bad that I looked back at the little one and asked it not to have the red one hurt me. And it didn't do that. But when I get back, I did take a picture of all this because I was able to jump off a rock and I heard her scream. And the scream was the third one. It was a little baby. So Robert talked about how if you walk by their little ones, and there's a small one, it's Chris. And you don't see it until you get home. And I thank God I took the picture, but you see all three of them. You see the one that was looking at me the first time. And what he was doing the first time was staring at me over a rock with his nose up in there. And he didn't show his head very well. He just kind of his nose up. And then the second time I saw him, he's doing the same thing around the rock, but he's got his head sideways. And he's like his nose around there and he's just staring at me. And it was around noon. But I'm just saying how beautiful the child was and how beautiful I felt comfort with the child. And when Robin said all that, that they beamed me. They zapped me. Because see, they can do that when they take over you and your lives and you do things that we do. When that happened, that's just an emotion, guys. I'm sorry, but that's just something that you caught, and it's real. So there.
So
I'm good, Brian.
How do they zap you? Did they took your fear away, or what? How did they zap you exactly? What was the result?
It was like calm. If you're on this level of hey, I'm here, all right. But like you said, the fear of it all, I felt okay with it.
Yeah, it's a trance. It's a trance.
But they were like, not right now. So yes, Rob. I love you, Rob. When you said that, our energies are so, I'm so glad that it connected. So
yeah.
That's something that I've experienced and I've heard about a lot, but we just don't call it a trance, just a different word for the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah. So it's neat how they do that, how they take your fear away. That's actually absolutely amazing. It's all energy.
Yeah, and they open a lot of doors after that. I can open a lot more doors. You throw that energy away and get that level with them, and they teach you, like you say, all the time.
Yeah, it's a constant lesson. Everything is a lesson. A never-ending school.
Yeah, guys, every experience I have is it is much better. Okay. Every experience I have, there's some kind of little lesson to it. It's just constant. It's right, Robin. It's like going through Sasquatch University.
Really, yeah, but really, then you got to do therapy.
To me, you have to put all these things together, and at some point, you have to form a different image of the Sasquatch. They are not wild, hairy men in the woods.
No.
They are very high, spiritually attuned beings.
Mm-hmm.
And they are the level of masters and teachers and wisdom keepers, and you know what I mean? And they're on the level of gurus and saints and holy people. They're on that level too. I mean, they're also, fun and silly and all that kind of stuff, but they have got that spiritual, they're spiritual giants, really.
Yeah.
Because do you know any human beings can put you in a trance or give you a love zap or blow your mind like these people can do, or go
Yeah.
invisible. How many humans do you know that go invisible almost every day?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
They're
you gotta reframe what is their energy, who they are.
Yeah. I mean, people don't know. I don't feel like people really, and I think more people are becoming aware of it, but I don't feel like people know the truth about them. The cold hard facts are there are some that are aggressive, there are some that are bad, just like with our people, but more than not, you're going to find that they are good. That doesn't, I mean, we've got people that are good and bad. It's not any different with them. Everything has free will and it chooses what path it's going to take. But these are a highly evolved, vibrational, energetic being. They're multidimensional. They may not know our ways on everything, but we don't know all their ways either. So we can't say that they're less intelligent than we are because they don't know some of our ways. Because from what I've learned from them, they are much, much more intelligent than we'll ever hope to be.
Yeah, and much more aware of how things work on the universal level or whatever too. Yeah. So you're working on a movie or something, Kenny, or you got some movie project going on or something released or something? What's that all about? Is that
Well, guys, that's called Alien Contact in the Rockies, and Robin knows these guys who produce it really well. They're wonderful guys, and the movie, it came out already, so it's out. And you want to tell me we want to explain what it's about, or what we did?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Or so, and some of the experience. Is this about your experiences, this movie, or
no? That's coming out later, and there's another one following it after that. But this particular one was about when we have Alan Megargle and Jesse Morgan having an event each year up in Bailey or Colorado, and they call it the Bigfoot Adventure Weekend. And we go to this I particularly went to this area called the Lost Creek Wilderness area. It's near Bailey. When we're doing that event, I'll have a crew of people and we'll take them. That's part of our thing there. I go and be a guide and I help them. And so anyways, we're all out doing our guide in our area, right? And what started all this was Jim sent me to an area. And I went to the area, Robin, you know how it is. We go, and I felt like, no, they were telling me this is not it. You need to go down further. So I went down another mile, guys. And these guys don't know where I'm going, and I don't either. I'm like, we went a mile down the road. I stopped by the area. I felt that was right. Stopped, and we all got out, turned towards the creek, and we walked, and they followed me. Now I'm guiding these people, and I have two of them. I have a gentleman from Nebraska named Art, a good researcher there, and a friend. And Art wasn't feeling well, so his back hurt. And I said, well, don't worry about it, Art. You just follow me and take pictures. Then I had a Native American with me. Now, the Native American had his drums, and he came with me because nobody else out of that group wanted the drums with them. He had to hey, dude, come with me. Come on. So me and Art go. Plus, they don't give me very many people because they know that, hey, follow me and my instincts and let's go. You got to keep up with me. And I'm going to tell you that. I don't want screaming. I don't want yelling. I don't want respect. And they did all that, these guys. We all start on a good link. So we get to the area, and I start trekking up this mountain. I get up this rock cropping. And what was neat about this is we're doing this in the daytime because we're going to do a daytime reconnaissance. So we're getting up in there, we go, and my gosh, but I don't find a track. Smooshed into the Colorado. I am so good on the Colorado tracking. It's unreal. I can spot the smashed prints very well in Colorado. Oh, you can't get prints in Colorado. Why do I get them all the time, guys? Why do I get them around reservoirs and end lines? And we can go into that later. Just look at my stuff. You're going to see it. But so we get to the area, rock cropping, find a print. I get a hold of Alan. Comes up the hill. We cast that print and we left it. About 4 hours later, everybody left. We're gone. 4 hours later, it gets dark. I take my crew up that area we just went up in the daytime. We went to go find the print and it's gone. I go, where's the print? And Art says it's flipped up, Kenny, right there. So what somebody had done, I know they done. They flipped the print up and put the ground side up. They didn't like the cast side up. Whatever that ever done it, flipped it back to the nature side. That's what I say, like flipping your pancake. And went to the nature side. I'm thinking, cool. Well, while we're up there, Art's seeing something and he's feeling it. He's like, Kenny, I'm like, just let it. Guys, that's why I'm here. You followed me. You're doing well. Let's just calm down. So it gets dark. The Native American goes up onto the rock. He starts playing what he's doing. And then all of a sudden he starts going, and he's getting frustrated. He's getting zapped. He's up there going, what's wrong with me? I can't remember and he's like, boom, boom, he's doing his thing. And he's like, he gave that one up, went to another one. What I mean by another beat, what he was doing. But later on, I find out later on when we talked, and he says, Kenny, I don't know what was wrong with me up there, but I couldn't remember. I go, he was getting sizzled. Don't you know about your heritage? You know about this. But he just was stubborn about it. He might have been a Native American, but he wasn't stubborn with the Bigfoot. He wasn't getting it. So anyways, that particular, he's playing his solo, he's getting frustrated, and all of a sudden I'm drawn to my left. And I go over and I have a friend's, Mike Brotherton is a scientist from the University of Wyoming. He does the telescopes and all that stuff. They're a very smart man. And he's what keeps me grounded in a sense of the science part of this. He doesn't know much about it either, though. He knows more about stars, but he wants to know about the science part of Bigfoot, but he's got a lock there too. But that particular day, he gave me a Gen 3 military scope that night to use. He says, Kenny, here's a scope, use it tonight. I don't know why. He gave me that. Thank God I had it. Because when the Cherokee native was playing his solo, I got the feeling to run over to the rock, and I'm looking up with my Gen 3 scope, and I'm looking up, and here comes this orb. And it looks like a round with thousands of Christmas wreaths around it, like coming at you. But it's in a gray form. And I'm thinking to myself, dear God, put your camera down and get the other camera up. And I did. Took a picture. Then all of a sudden, Art goes, King, there's something running up the ravine that we came up. So I get away from that area, and I didn't want to, but I get drawn over it. I go to my right now, and I go over about 20 yards maybe. Stop. I'm looking with my Gen 3 again. Little guy running to the orb. I'm 58 years old thinking, dear God, I've done this a long time. My God, these things associated with these orbs, there's got to be something about these things and these orbs. And it's just like it rattled us. I have a good friend on the mountain. His back's hurting. I said to him, please take pictures tonight. And if we see something that's don't get this. Hey guys, I see something, John. Hey, Bart. Don't do any of that. I didn't do any of that, guys. The emotions were so strong. You could cut it with this knife. It was like, oh my God. I thought I could get this man off this mountain. And when you do your things, you have a way to get out, and you tie things to the trees and you get out that way. And I was just freaking out. And I have my tree marked with white powder. An airplane could land and get out of these areas. And we was having a hard time getting out. We're all fumbling around. And I'm like, oh, dear God. And I bent over and I started cramping in my stomach. And I was getting this. And I'm like, don't zap me now. And I'm asking them, leave us alone. And I got back up, and we all just got ourselves together, and we got off the mountain, guys. And I know that's what, you guys, it's not what you guys want. Yeah, everybody wants it. We'll get it. And let's see how you handle it. And this ain't the first time for me. I've done this a lot of times. I'm a seasonal guy. And as far as feeling these things and what happened to me that night, I said to myself, man, I think that's how Robin and me connected so much, because I had to call her and ask her about some things. And I thought, do I have something that I know I have had all my life? And now that I'm getting older, why is it so intense now? Why is it that maybe I'm ending my other chapter of my life that I'm seeing more things? Why is it coming now? Why didn't it come back when I wanted it? Some days. So that was very emotional. But it shows, guys, when I lifted the camera up, that picture shows the blue orb. Beautiful, beautiful blue orb. It's beautiful. Thank God Art did what he did, because on his 12th frame of his, as he's telling me something's coming up the hill, Art's taking these clips, he got the orb opening. So in the movie, we possibly, Art and me have the only orb that's ever been in a solid form like it is, and in a form where it's opening, and it looks like all kinds of colors and reds and yellows. And I sent these pictures. I bombarded Brian early with a smorgasbord of pictures, and he might not know which one it is, and he might bring up something to show that picture, but Art does have it opening. I have it when it was closed. So is there a door there? Are they going through the portals? At my age, I went to myself, by God, Kenny, you're not done yet. And that's why when Barry comes on, we'll talk about something else, about
So
where I had
you're
to go
saying
for the
that there was
spirit of the Squatch.
there was a Sasquatch there that ran towards the orb?
Yes. And it was a small one. And when I said to the church, to Native American up on rock, he goes, I saw Iceland, Ken. I saw a big guy. And I said, how big was the second one? He says, oh, about right here. Exactly what I saw, about 48 inches. People can say, 48 inches. Hey, it was about up 4 feet, whatever. It was up 48 inches, a little guy. And guess what? Like Robin said, that's why the emotions hit me so hard with Robin today. When she talked about the little one going on all 4 knees and crawling, that's what that one did. It went down. And when she said, oh, that was like, dear God, yeah, my little one went to you last night, Robin. I know people are going to sit out there and listen to this podcast and say, whatever, either on something. No, when Robin hits pretty hard, when she bats, and she hit me right in the face with the slugger. And it was like, wow, you nailed it, lady. Beautiful. So, and that's what the story's about, is alien contact in Rockies, but that's just my story in it. It goes on to be talking about Jim Myers up at the Sasquatch Outpost in Bailey. We're all a Colorado group of researchers that we do get together with friendship and some type of love for it. But in that movie also talks about Estes Park, when the producers have property up here, and they thought it was a portal there. So we go up and do a report up there of energy, of all these machines. And it seems like we got this portal down to a dome. And guess what was thrown in the area of the dome? A dead carcass from a deer that had no head. It was a gift. And it was like, and they had gifted that same area right there with a rock and a feather. And it comes to ending up the feathers out of the rock. And they would have to open the jar up. I'm just saying, that's not what started this little area. And all of a sudden, we just got this energy. Well, they did put up some cams and get these little creatures that look like they're from the Flintstones, little Dino. And it looks like these things are coming out eating on this carcass, whatever, and going back through this portal. And then we talk about that. And Alan talks about his investigation on all of that. And then, it's a movie by Alan Meek-Arnold and Ron Meyer, and it's very personal, because it talks about that experience with that orb with me. And these guys couldn't track me down for a year. I was the kind of guy that all these other guys wanted in, I wanted out. But they finally got me. And when they shared that story, that broke a lot of grounds, because following that, now I have another movie that's going to talk about what I'm talking about right now. It's going to talk about a researcher's battle with what we do and how it can, we all want this, but boy, when you get it, watch out. It takes your birthdays, your holidays, your lives, Robin knows, your family life, your kids, your family, your money, everything from you. But all of a sudden in life, it's like it's coming back in such more, of a gift. There was a battle before. Sometimes we do these things and we walk out like, man, I'm not going to do this again. I'm tired of it. All these years doing this, and something happens. And then, the Alien in Contact in the Rockies is a good movie to watch as far as my personal side of what I experienced with that orb. And then
Where is that on? Is that on Hulu
like
or?
Roku and all those platforms. So yeah, and then following that, I got a one about the spiritual side of a house. We can talk about this, a ghost. There's some stuff happening in my house in Nebraska that I bought, and it's going to talk about a possessed doll. And we
Is that
got
where the
another,
doll was at?
huh?
Because yeah, what Alan and Ron at the Nebraska Bigfoot conference last year came up to me and they said, "Hey, can we talk to you?" And I said, "Yeah." And I know the guys; they're sweethearts. I love them. And he said, "I'm going to show you something, and I don't want to tell you anything about it. I'm just going to show it to you, and I just want you to tell me about it." And I'm like, "Okay." He said, "Oh, and can we record you while we do it?" Okay. So I said, "Just let me know when." So they hollered to me and I said, "Okay." So they come up and they show me this doll and I'm like, "Oh my God." So I'm telling them all this stuff about the doll and they're looking at me going, "Yeah, that's exactly right about the doll. That's what we figured." But I didn't know at the time it was yours.
Well, I bought a 123-year-old home. I went back to Nebraska and Robin knows what I'm talking about with Harriet, this lady we all love. They're running a museum, guys. All about this Bigfoot stuff, fine. What we get, but you got to work on your inner there. But we always talk about it, how they're going to accept you. You got to be able to work in here, get it out, get that. So my love for Harriet, she didn't even know me. Went down there to remodel her museum, did all these exhibits and stuff for her, and run a conference. And then after 2 years of cornfields and not much Bigfoot down there, what there is, but with Barry Webster, whoa, we can talk about that later. But in Nebraska, they are there. But in my area, I was just antsy for home. I need to get back. So I'm back in Colorado doing I'm just collecting back where I left off, kind of. But yeah. So I forgot where I'm at because I just get emotional.
What's the story with this? What's the
Go
story
ahead.
with this doll? What's the story with the doll? Is it like,
okay.
is
So
it possessed or
you
what?
guys want to hear that? You want to hear that's a long story? Okay, I'll tell you. Here we go. All right. I have an old house, 123 years old. A lady lived there. Her name is Ruby. Ruby lived there 60 years, guys. Ruby passed away. Ruby had to stay in one room by herself now. Ruby couldn't go up these nice, beautiful stairs. I had to go upstairs. And I have an old home, 123 years old. It's built well. And so I go in and I'm remodeling it. And it's a little bit dilapidated, but it is. So I have to get in there, did a lot. But while I'm doing my work, I'm telling Ruby, I'm working with you, Ruby. Ruby, I'm going to do your kitchen today. Ruby, let's tear our ceiling out. Ruby, you have 10-foot ceilings here. You dropped it down to 8. Let's knock that out and expand this. And I put a big 5-foot chandelier up there. And just like Ruby, everything was Ruby to me. So I go down into the basement. I'm working down into a dirt basement. You have to go outside, open a flip door, go down into the dirt basement. I'm down there going to mix some cement because I'm going to pour some walls because they're dirt walls. So I'm going to make a footer and then I'm going to break it up with, make brick in the wall. Turn around. There's a string hanging from the ceiling on a pull cord light. It's twirling. I'm like, I look down and my bucket of water in a 5-gallon bucket that I had brought down to mix that cement with, because I have a cement mix. I got a mixer down. I'm mixing it in a wheelbarrow. I look down. What's my water doing? Now I go upstairs in this freaky mood, like tell my wife, and I know I've seen Bigfoot. You think, I saw Bigfoot. What's wrong with you? Okay. That was energy. That was right there. And I went upstairs and told my wife's a Christian lady, and I've heard her say a cuss word in 27 years of our marriage. She says, I don't know what you're doing down there. I don't know what's down there, but what's wrong with that door? And there was a certain door led into that room that was just painted weird. Like, thank God I kept the door and Alan's got it. But I thought of buying the house, even before I bought the house, I knew something was wrong with the basement. Now I know why. So down there, that's, water's twirling. I told my wife, strings twirling, all that, blah, blah, blah. Wife says, tear that thing down. She wanted that wall out. Okay. So I get in there and I start doing the wall out, tear it down. And then I get into this cubby hole and I pull out this box and it's got this, I look in it, it's got this doll with her horns and one arm. And it just looks, I don't know. And it's got a book in there and a satanic book of German rituals for the demonic. And I'm like, whoa, not a piece of coal in there. I'm like, what the hell? I knew it. So with Alan and Ron, with their background of also doing paranormal stuff in all aspects, Alan has a show called Trails of the Unknown. They go around and do all these ghost investigations. Alan actually got into Bigfoot maybe a couple, 10, 20 years ago, whatever. But he was more into spiritual stuff, more of the ghost. So I said, Alan, you need to come and let's do our thing there. So they come, I think, for one of our conventions. I get them over to the house, the 123 I'm talking about, get them in the basement. Had already had everything tore out and everything's kind of clear. They asked me, where's the area where we found the doll? I said, right about here. They said, we'll take the door and put it there, and we're going to put the doll on top of the door, and then we're going to do a thing. So they put these REM pods up, and Alan says, oh, that thing never works. At 99%, it will never work. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And I just I felt Ruby. All of a sudden, here's that thing. Lighting up like it was the 4th of July, like a firework display. And I said, you better get your cameras. Boy, they all got their cameras out. There were only 2 of them, but Ron starts filming, and then they start asking me questions. I go, put it in the form of Ruby. So they're like, Ruby, are you glad that? And then put a thing in there that talks back to, I don't know much about spiritual toys. So they talk to this machine and they go, Ruby, are you glad that Kenny's remodeling your home? It says, yes. So nice. And then all of a sudden, Alan. Uh-oh. That's my producer. One of my Alan's said Alan. Alan's like, oh, I said my name. And I'm like, whoa. So we start talking and they go, Ruby, are you glad that Kenny's remodeling your home? And she said in this beautiful voice over that machine, Kenny. I know I'm giving away some of this, Alan. I'm sorry, but it's beautiful. But when you guys hear it, you're going to hear the emotions. And then with me and Alan looking down at the doll, I see Alan get pushed. And I see his eyes go, whoa, I just got to go, yeah, I know. And if you ever want to see energy go out the door like a vacuum, Ron came behind me, and I love the man. And he says, Ruby, you could cross over now. Just like, I didn't expect any of this. I tell you what, that energy went out like, phew, it just like everything just went,
What did they name the movie?
Can I give it out, Alan? I'm sorry, guys. I don't see. That's why sometimes I think that the guys with me get a little bit like, Kenny's just off, because I don't respect, maybe I talk too much, but, and then I don't know the rights of things. I don't know
you don't have to tell the name of the movie if you don't.
I just don't want to. You know what, guys? I went this far. What the heck? It's called, Behind the Painted Door, because I talked about that door. And Behind the Painted Door, a paranormal experience. And that's cool. What it was.
Now, Ron and Alan have another movie that's going to be coming out, and we're going to premiere it at the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference. It's called The Beast of Bray Road and Bigfoot. So they have another one. Their movies are quite good. Like, I would recommend them. They normally will put one out every year when they come to Nebraska for the conference. And they've got another one that's coming out this year as well. And then they'll be there to speak as well and answer questions.
So make it, get by there. Yeah. And Lyle Blackburn will be there. And Robin and me and Keith Crabtree, Robin? A lot of us.
Yep. I'll be there. Kenny will be there. Yeah. Pat will be there. We've got William Lunsford, Stephen Hill, Duke Sullivan. We've got a lot of really good people that are going to be there. So we have a surprise guest that's going to be there, so that's going to be fun too.
Duke was there last time. Didn't the Sasquatch follow him to his motel room? It was a whole thing.
No, what had happened was we were all staying at Harriet's, and Christy Sci-Fi, she'll be there this year too. She won't be speaking, but she'll be there on site to talk to. And Duke and Christy went out the end door of the museum, and they were out there having a cigarette. And they had heard them walking around in her garden. She's got handicap accessible gardens there that are part of the museum. And they had heard them walking around there. Pat and I were in the house. She has this lower level of her house that's like an apartment. It's got 2 bedrooms in it. Pat and I were in our room, and one walked right in front of the window. Like, I saw the full thing. I mean, he walked right in front of the window, and then he walked through the gardens. And so Duke and Christy were on the end of the house, and they heard him walking around. The next day, Christy had rented a car, and she said, if anybody needs to use the car, they can. And I said, okay, I need to go to Walmart. She's like, I'll take the car. So she gives me the keys. I walk out to the car, and there's handprints all over this car. So I went back in the house, and I'm like, hey, Christy, did you realize that your hand or your car is now covered in these gigantic handprints? So Duke went out there and got Scotch tape and pulled the prints off the car. So now they're up in the museum. But yeah, and we had all kinds of interactions out there. We had a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun.
Cool. Hey, you were telling me, Robin, and this might be personal, so maybe Kenny doesn't want it shared. But if he does, you were saying you were talking about why Kenny's connection with the Sasquatch and past life connection and stuff, and you know, why they basically connect with different people.
Kenny talked about that, because that was a conversation that him and I had a while ago. So I'll let him talk about it, because it's about him, and that way whatever he wants out can go out.
Yeah, and you can chip in though too, give some insight if you want.
Yeah.
No, Robin, basically you were teaching me. So as a teacher, tell me, go ahead.
It's hard because you have to understand something, guys. I do this 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I literally talk to hundreds of people, and everybody.
I know I was a leader of a clan. Okay.
Yeah. At some point he's got a deep connection with them. I think not only because he was part of the clan and helped with the clan, but he's always had it there. And I think he's had an ET connection as well. I mean, I think most people, when we find people that have connections with the forest people, that's automatically something that comes with it.
And guys, with Robin, I said to myself, I would struggle to call her and say, Robin,
yeah,
you can speak and you can, and I know that I do it, but I don't know what how to curb it or call it or understand it to a full extent. Robin, if you're so like, if you are, I'm vetting her. I'm like, Rob,
yeah.
I'm like, Rob, what was the name of that second Bigfoot I saw?
Yeah, there was one that starts with the M.
Yep. And she said, what it is, guys, is my cousin is Miss America 1926, first full-blooded Native American Cherokee to win the prestigious Miss America award. And my grandma on my daddy's side, on that side is Smallwoods. And I just know that, well, that Native American is in me, that's
where the connection comes from.
The connection comes from. And I asked her, what was my red one's name? And I named it after my grandmother, which her name is Mahalaha. What Robin said was Mahalaha. And I just freaked out. I went into 3 days of this. Oh, dear God, how? And I said, spell it. She darn near spelled it.
Well, Harriet had told me about Kenny. And she said, you know, I think it would be really good for Kenny to talk to you. And I hadn't talked to him yet. And I was like, okay, that's not a problem. And I was up to a flea market that day, and he got hold of me, you know, through Messenger on the video chat. And he's like, I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. And I'm used to people vetting me out. I mean, and I'm fine with that, you know, as long as it doesn't get to the point where I feel like I'm being tested all the time, because that just kind of irks me. It's like, I get people don't always believe me, and I'm okay with that. I really and truly am. I think there's a lot of hoaxers out there. I think people should be cautious. So I don't mind it. And he was very nice. And he said, well, I just want to know if you would know the name of this red one. And I was like, oh, okay. So I asked her, and she just gave it to me. I didn't realize that Kenny had not ever told anybody that. And so I told it to Kenny, and he literally he didn't fall apart, but he was very, very emotional. And he kept saying, how would you know that? And I said, you know, it's not me. If they tell it to me, I can share that information with you. And that's really what happened. but his connection with them comes from that Native American heritage. And I think to some extent, some of the ones that he has had connections with are ones that down through the years came from that particular group that also interacted with it. Is it your aunt or your grandmother or whoever? And so that's where that connection came from. It just came right down the line.
Yeah. So you said that most people who have a deep connection with them have a similar kind of story or some past life or some kind of connection with them somewhere down the road. Is that
I believe
fair
so.
to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do, because I would say for every 50 people I work with and try to help in this process, 48 of them will come back and I'll say, what happened to you at this age? What happened to you in that age? And then tell me about this, and this. And like, I don't remember that. Oh my God, I do remember it. You know, and it's like it triggers a memory for them, and they will remember this encounter or that encounter or something that a family member has said. And it just seems like, you know, it comes down that way. And I don't want anybody to take that to mean that if you haven't had a previous encounter, there's no hope of you ever having a connection with the Sasquatch, because that's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is we do find a lot of that is repetitious, as far as, you know, from the time they're young or from a connection through a family member or whatever. When people have that connection, even through a family member, it does seem to trickle down through the generations. Now, in my case, there is nobody in my family that has ever had any connection to them up until me that we are aware of.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they've talked to me about many different lifetimes I've had with them back to 1,000 years. And they've shared with me information of things that I did with them 1,000 years ago in different lifetimes. And they will give me little triggers that will make my memory remember.
But Robin, look what me and you went through. And I'm going to go on the plank on this, guys, because I'm talking about somebody that's very, and I'm not, okay, we had a very good friend. I'll just say it. Me and Robin had to go through hell with David Pilates once on him betting her over a story of the Jared Atchedero story, which is very personal to me because I love that family. And we went through a battle with even our buddy Dave Pilates vetted her. After that, I don't think Dave had any doubt in you, did he?
I haven't talked to Dave since then. But I was told from someone that Dave knows afterwards that David went up to him and said, I don't know if she's accurate about the other things the Bigfoots have told her, because I don't know the answer to those questions, but I do know she had to have talked to them, because there's no way she would have the information on that case that she had, because nobody had it except me.
Except for you.
They shared me. Yeah. And that all transpired because when the movie came out, and I've never talked about this before, when the movie came out, one of the forest people that were involved contacted me and was like, you need to contact this family. And I said, I'm not contacting this family. I don't know this family. And I don't want to bring pain to them. And then it was accidental that when I was with Kenny in Nebraska at the conference, we were discussing it and I brought it up and he said, oh my gosh, I know this family. And that's kind of how the whole thing transpired. And I don't know, I pray that maybe it gave some closure to this person. I would never, ever have on my own gone to him, because I would never, not knowing him, I would not want to cause any more pain or grief. But yeah, you get vetted a lot. My friend Duke Sullivan, he vetted me for 2 years. He's like a brother to me now, but he vetted me for like 2 years, and that was okay. I don't care. He sends a lot of people my way now, so if they need help or whatever. So yeah, I've been vetted a lot.
So what is your process? If somebody says they have Sasquatch experience or they want to know something about maybe their connection or whatever, how do you go about that?
I'll be right back, guys.
It's various with everybody. It depends if their Sasquatch will talk to me. It depends on if I can pick up anything off of them. So it varies from person to person. It's kind of like one of those things where it's customized. It depends on what will talk to me, who will talk to me. I am psychic to a point, I think. I mean, everybody says I am. I don't consider myself a psychic, but everybody tells me I am. So it's what I read, what I pick up, you know, and I just kind of go from there. It just depends on the person. It depends on the situation. It depends on what will talk to me and tell me things.
Yeah. Well, I know, you know, looking back on my journey with Sasquatch, I realized, you know, in retrospect, you know, because of what's unfolded after the fact, is that, you know, I was always extremely interested in Sasquatch all my life, like fascinated with them, like to almost like an obsession. And then, you know, it kind of makes sense now that, you know, it was little nudges or whatever, because,
well, and you and I have talked about it before too, and you had experiences in a past life with them, because you and I have talked about that a few years ago. So
yeah, I can't remember what you said though, actually, but
the only thing I remember, like I said, I do this all the time. So people will get mad at me and say, don't you remember? I would love to remember everything. But the truth of the matter is, I talk to a lot of people. And on top of that, when I'm given information, I am just somebody that's supposed to send the information where it's supposed to go. They don't always let me remember it. And I know that sounds cheesy and a cop out, but it's the God's honest truth. Yeah. So in your case, what I do remember is,
I think you said, let me just refresh you and then continue. I thought you said that I was part of RE's clan or tribe in a previous life or something. Yeah.
It does. Like I said, it transfers. And that's not like a standard thing I say to everybody, because I did say that with Kenny and I did say that with Brian. That's not a standard thing. Everybody doesn't get told the same thing. It's individualized, obviously. Yeah. But the other thing with you is you had, when you were like 4 and 5 years old, you had different situations that happened that were due to the Sasquatch. Whether you remember them or not, that's, you know, I can't tell you, but you did. And then in previous lifetimes, you also had it. You were always very kind. You always had that warm heart and that pure heart and that connection to them. So, you know, it does travel like that. And there's a lot of people that start their own path with them just because of an encounter they may have where it's never been part of their history, but because it was a positive encounter, you know, that starts that trend. So maybe people down their line and their family tree may have it at that point, you know, but it's not uncommon.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I can remember telling Pat, you know, don't you remember when you were abducted by the ETs when you were 9? And he's like, thinking about it, he's like, I don't really remember. And then he's like laying there in bed watching TV with me later on that night. He's like, oh my God, I'm remembering. We all have people that trigger us. I had somebody that I cared very much about that, and she triggered a lot for me, thank God. But we all have little trigger buttons. And if you run into that person that can trigger you, or if you do a certain thing that might hit that trigger button, you do get the memories.
You know, Robin, when you gave me Melba's number and we connected really good on that. And I thank you for that. I struggled with the DNA and all this stuff. But after you know, the scientific part of it is like, guys, you know, one time I sent to MUFON a piece of hair off my cat. And they sent it back saying it was a silver fox. And I thought, see, Kenny, they talk about the DNA and what side is that, all that and that stuff. But with Melba, she's trying to round me out in science, that science part of it. And it's hard, you know.
Yeah.
But I thank you for giving me your friends. I mean, like she says,
she's the best.
She's nurturing me. So
yeah, she's the best. And while we're talking about her, she is back out there again. Yep. We now have the Cryptid Genome Project, and there is anybody wanting to donate to it. There is a link on our wall that says the Dogman Project, but we are changing the name to the Cryptid Genome Project because we are going to be doing all different kinds of cryptids. So yep. She's back in business.
I'm gonna give her some of my Dogman stuff. So
yeah, I'm sure she would want it. Yep. My understanding is the beginning of the Dogman stuff has been tested, but we need genomes now. So we've got more work to do. And I say all I do is do what she asked me to do. I have no scientific background. She will talk to me and explain things to me. And I'm like, I got to go get a book called Science for Dummies because I just can't.
I love you, ladies. You guys are special. So
yeah, I mean, I just do what she asked me to do.
What is the Sasquatch objective with, because we all know that they want to connect with us individually so that they can open up our hearts, and so that, you know, like they have answers for us as individuals as to who we really are, you know, on the big universal scale and all that. So they're working with individual people and getting individual people to talk about them and share, like we're all doing here. But what is their objective as far as and I think I know, and I'm going to say what I maybe think, you know, in a very just general fashion. But I think that what is the purpose of the scientific work or whatever? Is it so that they will be accepted mainstream, so that they can introduce themselves to us because they're accepted as existing, or what is the reason for all the science behind it, like the DNA and the proving of
I think from what they've shared with me, and that's all I can talk about, I can't, you know, say what other people, they may have given more information to other people. They seem to give bits and pieces to a number of people so that it forces us to come together to come down to the real truth of it. Right. And not it's just a burden on just one person. But as far as the scientific part, you know, people don't want to believe what they don't understand. And our brains have been programmed to believe that cryptids don't exist, ETs don't exist, and you know, telepathy doesn't exist. We've been programmed to believe all these things never happened, none of them existed. And I think they've gotten to the point where they have shown themselves to various people, they've befriended various people, and nobody still wants to believe they exist. And I don't think the science for them is anything that they're particularly interested in, other than the fact that it will prove they exist. Now, and I've talked about this before, when I met Melba, I never knew she existed. I never knew the Genome Project existed. They contacted me and said, there's a woman with light colored hair. She knows the truth about us. You have to find her and you have to help her because she knows the truth. This will make people realize that we are here. And I think that's where they came from scientifically. I didn't know anything about it. I knew a good friend that when I told her about the message I had been given, said, oh yeah, Melba Ketchum, you know, she's doing this Genome Project. And I said, well, I'm supposed to talk to her, but I didn't want her to feel like I was chasing her down, because at that point, everybody on the planet was after her. Yep. So I talked to a friend of hers and I said, please give her my number. If she's interested in talking to me, let it come from her, so she doesn't feel that I'm badgering her. And she contacted me, and she's like a sister to me. I will fight for the Genome Project and the Cryptid Project with every fiber of my being till the day I die, because I know it's legit and I support it.
And I'll tell you something. When the Bigfoots are in your lives and they want something for you, guess who they gave me from that project? I didn't know much. Dennis Poles, big part of it. That's my guy who mentored me and slapped me in the head, told me, boy, you got to quit what you do sometimes and come on into it and look at it different. And Dennis, I thank him to this day. To this day, I thank Dennis on that project. He gave 5 years of his life for that. Yeah, what happened to these guys? To these guys is very important. See, researchers go off this grid of, we want the movies, we want the books, we want all that. Do you think the personal lives of the Bigfoot? Do you guys get into Igor stuff? Do I got to start mentioning that? One of our good friends, a scientist from Russia that I have very good respect for, 60 years of doing, and look what he's got to go through now, that ridicule. That started in a phone call in Nebraska at our conference. Now, I know I'm going off. I'm just saying, out of that project with the Melba and all that guys, I got Dennis, I got Melba, I got Robin. So
that was world changing right there, where he's talking to his research partner in Russia, and research partner in Russia has his phone on you know, what do you call it? So it's open mic, and then he hands it to the Sasquatch. The Sasquatch
didn't know what he was doing. He's just doing it. Yeah.
And you're like, well, what's the big deal about that? Everybody knows they can talk.
Yeah. Well,
the misconception in that is that people felt like this Sasquatch picked up the phone and called Igor. That is not what went down. What went down was Igor had his research partner on the phone. He put it on speaker, so when Igor would speak to the Sasquatch could speak back. That's what transpired. And that way people could hear him speak. But the ridicule that came after it was unfounded, and people were looking at it going, oh yeah, because they always pick up a phone and call somebody. That is not what anybody said. That was people that don't want to believe it, are closed-minded, don't want to believe it is even a possibility. And I would like to point out that he's not the only one that has ever had somebody on the other end that they're talking to and had Sasquatch around them and just simply put the phone on speaker.
Oh, Rob, yeah.
Anybody that's ever been on a speakerphone call, and whenever I talk to anybody, because I'm doing 1,000 things at one time, because I'm a major multitasker, my phone is always on speaker. What happens when it's on speaker? People can hear the dogs barking in the background or whatever.
Yeah.
Why is it all right to hear a dog barking in the background, but when you actually have a Sasquatch, forest person and they're talking, now all of a sudden it's an unbelievable thing. And that's really quite sad to me. It really is. He was ridiculed. The conference was ridiculed. We did not know that was going to take place. That was an impromptu thing. It was not anything that was programmed for that conference.
In defense for Harriet, she didn't know. So, guys, if you guys going to go after Harriet, you go through me, but she didn't know.
Yeah.
We didn't know.
Yeah. No, we
My
didn't
girls
know.
didn't know. My ladies didn't know.
Igor contacted me and said, I'm due to speak in 30 minutes. I just talked to, and I'm not going to use his name because it's not mine to give, in Russia. And he has got Grisha, which was the name of that particular Sasquatch, around him. And he's going to call me while I'm on stage, and we're going to see if, we can get him to talk. And this particular Sasquatch adores Igor. So when he heard Igor's voice, he was talking back to Igor. And I'd also like to point out that also happened again when we went to the conference in Colorado, although it wasn't on stage. We had a private meeting where myself, Jim Myers, Dave Pilates, and so a few other people were there. I'm sorry, I don't remember their names. They were part of Dave Pilates' group. I think it was his wife and then her sister. And Igor were there. And we, did the same thing again. So, yeah, I mean, can I say to everybody, I know with 100
It was Angie and McCall. It was Angie and McCall.
Yeah, I mean, can I say 1,000% that yes, that is authentic? I wasn't in Russia. I can't do that. What I can tell you is Igor is of the highest integrity. He's never lied to anybody. He's devoted his entire life for this.
Yeah.
I will stand by him. But when Igor is there and he does interact with these things, he physically sees them, he speaks with them. The one has stroked his face, touched his arm. The voice is the same when he's there with them as it was over the phone. The pictures have gotten a lot of criticism, but when he's there, what he sees and what he interacts with looks exactly like the pictures.
But Robin, he's going through stage 2 now because he's got it driving.
Yeah, I can't say much about that. I
know. I'm sorry. I just had to mention it. Guys, we're going to mention it. Why not? I bring it up.
I know. There have been several people where they have, started the car. We had one that would on the house next to us when I was in Michigan. They had one of those big caterpillars.
Yeah.
For digging, and they always left the keys in it. And every morning at like 4 and 5 in the morning, the thing would start up, and then I would run next door thinking someone, because I knew the people that owned the place. Yeah, and I'm thinking somebody's trying to steal this equipment. I'm out there in the night, and you would see one of the foots running away, or you would see muddy footprints all over the ground. Now, does that mean that? I mean, I didn't see them turn it on, but that was what the scenario looked like, from my observation. But there's also a couple of books out there, and I wish I could, I think I remember the title to them, but I'd rather not say it only in case I'm wrong. But there are 2 books out there where they talk about them driving cars. That has not been my experience. I've not witnessed that. But that doesn't mean that it's not a real thing. I believe in Igor. He's never lied to me. He's always had the utmost integrity. So when he's telling me this, do I believe him? I do believe him. Because he has always been square with me. He's never lied to me. I've known this man. He's been part of my family for years.
And Robin, you're right. Igor told me once, Kenny, you listen to the story, but you don't have to be judgmental on it. You can just listen to the story.
And that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Like I said.
Hey guys. Barry's dealing with a storm, so let's get Barry's input on this. Why don't we go? Yeah. Why don't we
Hey Brian, give me screen share. 3rd time I asked.
Okay, what? Is it the third? I thought it was the second time. Okay.
Second time I ask. Oh, I stand down.
Okay. So, but why don't you talk about your why don't you talk about your experience with Barry when you visited him, and then you guys can talk about that.
I
Sounds
got
like
his
a great-
movie queued up. All you got to do is give me a screenshot.
Yeah.
I can show
Okay.
the
Well,
movie.
I'm trying to. Hang on.
That's
I love
that's
you
the third
guys.
time.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. I think this is important.
Yes.
There you go. Satonga, Bigfoot, Spirits, and Faith. That's a movie now playing on Amazon Prime Video.
Mhm.
Oh wow.
Stacy Brown worked on that.
Yeah, I
That was
want
pretty
you.
cool.
You want to know about Chatonga, guys? I tell you. There it goes.
I know when Barry had Pat and I there, I saw him there. You know, they're definitely there. I saw them.
Well, I'll tell you. Robin knows that we took Igor out there and Don Monroe for an event out to see Barry. We took them all out when Igor was here. And we had an incident where we were asked not to take pictures or do anything disrespectful in an area, but they asked us not to do that in. Now you're on the Native American Cherokee land, or the Native American land, the Omaha Reservation, and that's their home. And that Bigfoot has lived with them for all their lives, and they thought I'd expect him as a spirit. And Chatonga there is the most spirit of the Bigfoot that's there. So in an area where we were asked not to take pictures, a certain few, I won't mention, I might have, took pictures. And I broke into a emotional trance. Like, oh dear God, why are they doing this? I have so much respect for these guys, and they're doing this. And I love them. I'm just saying. It
I
hurt
did
me.
the mom voice. I made everybody stop. I used the mom voice.
Well, you know, that happened. And I think at that time we was at the children's graveyard, and I was like, wait a minute. And I love the kids, you know, I love the little ones, the little Bigfoots. So, but this is a human child cemetery that happens, bad times there. So that emotion hit hard. So Chatonga got me there. And so guys, about a month later, you know, Barry talks deeply of Chatonga and religious, and I love the man in the tribe and the sisters and brothers and uncles and all of them out there. And I get this feeling back in me one day. It says, Kenny, you're going to Macy. And I'm like, why? I don't know. So I go to Art. Art, guess what? I'm going to Macy. Art's like, why? I don't know. A week later, phone call, Barry, Kenny, come on down on the reservation. I'm going to take you to a special place. All right. Told you I was going to Omaha, didn't I? Didn't know why. Got the phone call. Bye. We don't have to ask about why, because we know we's already set to go there. We just didn't know yet. So I got the call, went down there. Todd Neese had just left there. Todd Neese went through the same thing I kind of went through. I didn't know that until he called me later. But we're down in the area that Barry's going to take me to. Harry's gone now, but that was the weekend that I got to be with Terry before he left us. And he's up there now, and he knows all the answers now. But in the area, I'm with Barry, and Barry's doesn't normally tape, but he taped this one this night. We had Chatonga, or this big Bigfoot coming. His eye shines there, and Barry's going, "Oh my God, Kenny! I mean, he's coming." He goes, "I'm gonna let you go." He never does that. He goes, "Just go to him." I said, "Okay, I am." And here I go. I get out there 40 yards or so. I'm by myself. I see this. And it don't look like it's in a form. It looks like it's in a mat. It's just in a pillar. It's like that's the Tonga. It's a spirit. I said, reach on Barry's. Later on says in the tape, Kenny, he's reaching for you. And I'm thinking to myself, I know he is. And I'm reaching for him. And Barry tells me later, Chatonga doesn't do that. Chatonga's the type that backs away from people. And I said to Barry later on, and I figured it out. I said, Chatonga's thanking me for that night up in the graveyard when that respectful stuff was going on. Chatonga came to me and says, I want to touch you, brother. And I reached out and I felt that. And I backed off with so much energy, guys. I was burning. And I walked back and Barry's like, oh my God, that's never happened. We've never seen that. And thank God that I had an elder come to me the next morning and set me down and says, buddy, what you saw is what we live with. You got that respect. You saw what a white man does very seldom see. And we live with these things like that. What do you think about that? He looked at me and I just went, thank God, thank you. And I said, I've traveled this experience of what I've done in Bigfoot, but boy, this sure takes it. This sure, the orb and then getting that. Man, I've traveled a road that I can talk about right now. And I'm so grateful. And when this man comes on right here and you hear his stories, and I'm going to give it to him because he deserves all that. It wasn't for him and God and our praying and our believing and everything that we believe in. So thank you, Barry. And here he comes, I hope. Sorry, guys. But that night with Chatonga, that was intense. And I was let to go. And I flew over there and boy, did I get what I got. And I felt when I come back and talk about this, he's still with me. And that was just something that a lot of researchers ain't going to talk about. They don't think it's just wackadoodle or you're off the woo factor too much.
Wackadoodle.
Yeah. Yeah, but I sure love the guys down there. They go through a lot down there. And Barry has a lot of people go there. And to him, it's not about the popularity. He wants to show people the spirit side of it and that side. He's a really emotional man. And he touched my soul so deep. Yeah. Got to have that out there. You got to surround yourself with guys like that to make this work. We always are looking. We're seeking these people, and sometimes they just fall in your lap, and that's what Barry did. So I appreciate it so much, and it's teach me about Nebraska too, my home state. And that's the reason I went down to see how I calm down, how the emotions can come and go, how they can get you, and they're going to let you go, let you speak it out. But I was, down there doing with Harry at the museum, getting the conference all going, and then I meet Barry, and I go down and see in a part of Nebraska that does have Bigfoots, and they're privately, and they're on their land, and they protect them. It's by the Missouri River, and it's all there. And I thought, wow, Nebraska, Colorado has it. I just went out, guys, the other day. I just got out yesterday, got a 21-inch print next to a river. Love Colorado. Never thought Nebraska would have something like that feel they have here, and it does, and it's out of the overall reservation that's protected. Go ahead, Rob. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So I wasn't trying to interrupt you. The
No,
thing
go
is,
ahead, please.
people don't realize they are everywhere. I mean, please don't get a preconceived notion that certain areas they won't go. They go everywhere. They'll go into the city. They've had them in Detroit, Michigan, in the abandoned houses down there. They literally are everywhere. I mean, if they're, certain areas, they may have a few more, but they really will go everywhere. And at Barry's, Pat and I were invited to Barry's, and we had a wonderful time. Everybody there was very kind, very loving. It was just truly a blessing to go. They are wonderful people there, but we saw them as well. I brought my singing bowl and they loved it. I did the singing. When I first got there, we were sitting at the campfire, and off to the left, there's paths that go through there. They had asked that I come down there and do a blessing. So I asked Barry if that was all right first. I mean, you are in their home. Barry's going to call the shots there because that is his home. And there's certain protocols that are used there. So I asked Barry, and Barry said, of course, go ahead. So I went down there and I did the blessing like they asked me to. And then we came back. And then the one night I did the singing bowl, and we're all sitting around this beautiful bonfire. And I do this singing bowl, and I look past, the other side of the ring of the circle that we were sitting in. And here's two just kind of just stepped right out of the brush, and they're standing right in the path, just standing there watching me doing this singing bowl. It was hysterical.
Was that off that path? Yeah. Off
Yeah,
the trail?
just standing there right out in the middle. There was two of them, and then there was one farther back. But, and then when we camped that night, they were coming on the outside of the tent and rubbing up on the tent. And we had footprints like 2 inches from my head the next morning.
So Barry, since you don't talk much, I want to give you the floor to talk about your movie and the things that are going on over there with res squatching. And that movie looks pretty profound because it's all about you and your group.
Thank you
There's
for,
Barry.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, sweetie.
I want to, first of all, thank you guys for inviting me. You know, in this, in the area of Sitonga, you know, I've decided this, that I won't contend with others or have pissing matches. That's kind of been my goal. You know, I think Robin, you and Michael, even Kevin, you guys know the truth will come out someday. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And so
Yeah, Pat.
I don't have anything to prove to nobody. I respect everybody that's in the field, you know, and what they do. Robin, you guys, I too believe that we have to stick together.
Absolutely.
We have to continue to grow and to keep that trust amongst each other. You know, it don't do any, and I'll say it again, it don't do anybody no good to act bigger than the topic itself. You know, let your work do the speaking for you, and let's all work together. You know, I sometimes would get caught up in that because of pride. And so today my message is this, is that, you know, I thank God, and this is all about him and his blessings. So I wanted to start off with that, Michael. So thank you for allowing me to have the floor. I will say this, that Robin and Kenny both have a very wonderful spirit about them. It's been proven even by science that people have this aura about them. And I can tell you, when I first met both of them, that's what I felt. And when we start to get, put ourselves above the subject itself is when, you know, let's just say I'd rather have nothing to do with that. You know, I could stand, we don't have enough hours to talk about some of my encounters. And that's not even a statement of power or ego. It's just been my experience. Again, I want to thank Kenny and Robin for even their willingness to come to the res, because I think that speaks for itself, you know. I do want to thank James Bros and Outcast Paranormal. I would challenge every one of you to watch that, because if there was ever a true story, you know, that was spoken from the heart. And we talked a little bit about, you know, those two worlds, the spiritual side and the harsh reality of Sitonga, and how that meshes. So I think that's the crux of the movie itself. I thought we went deeper into different subjects. I'm not a paranormal guy, but we allowed them to investigate some homes that just blew my mind, how much those spirits in those homes knew about Sitonga through their devices. It blew my mind. Again, I'm not a paranormal guy. I although you have to deal with that when you're out there, but I was again blown away by the devices they had. RPG, James Bros. I think it was Joey Padilla and Eli. Bigfoot Stacy wasn't there at this one, but
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah.
yeah, this one here is a must see. I've watched others. I deliberately watched others, and this one, hands down. That's all I'm gonna say. Hands down. If you don't watch this, then you're just hating.
I saw it, Barry. It was good. I enjoyed
I
it.
did too. First minute. Yep.
Where can we see it again, Barry?
Go to Amazon Prime, type in Sitonga, Bigfoot, Spirits and Faith.
I hope I can
think it's
I
a-
hope I can get that in Canada, because my
Yeah.
Amazon is a little different, but I would definitely want to watch it.
$1.99. I mean,
We
Yeah.
talked about that. We talked about this before the show. There's the idea of faith in Sasquatch. You were talking about it back in 2015 and before that, maybe. That's the faith, a person's faith in God, a person's faith in the Creator, has a lot to do with how they're going to interact with the Sasquatch people. And that just needs to be brought to be reminded. We just need to remind people that that's a big part of the puzzle.
It is, and people don't realize that the forest people are a highly spiritual people. They believe in Creator, which is our God and their God, and the connection is real. You know, I mean, there was an area outside of my home that was rectangular shaped, and they would go there just like a person would go to church. And I always felt like when they were there, I could see it from my front porch through the trees. And they would go there at night. And many times I went out there with them. And it was almost like they worshiped there. You know, when you have a close relationship with them, they speak of Creator. And I asked them one time, I said, what is your Creator? And they said, we all share the same God, is what I was told.
I wonder how would they interpret God? What was their interpretation? The same as ours?
I think so. I mean, that was what I got from them. They didn't say, oh, my interpretation is this. No. But what I did get from them, I feel very certain that it's the same thing. They are very spiritual. You know, everything they do for Creator. They answer to Creator. You know, I mean, obviously some of the bad ones don't, some of our people don't, but primarily the majority do.
Yeah.
And they're very respectful of that. And that was the one thing that when I was at Barry's, I have to really give them kudos for, is the respect. You know, respect people automatically assume you're supposed to have. Respect is earned. It's not given. And when you go to these places, it's all about respect. Everything comes down to respect. And when you have contact with these magnificent people, beings, whatever you wish to call them, if you have that respect, you'll find that it will become mutual.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen overnight. It took 20 years.
No, it doesn't. And
It took 20 years for me to cleanse. Yeah.
that's what was so wonderful at Barry's, is there is that mutual respect. There is respect shown every second of every day at Barry's.
Yep.
You know, we were blessed to have been invited there. You know, it's something that I treasure.
Yeah.
But there's respect at all times there.
Yeah. I think that's the foundation of any kind of interaction with them, is you got to start with respect. If you don't start with that, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Well,
Why
yeah,
want to mess with you? Yeah.
And I have to agree with Barry 1,000,000% when he was talking about, you know, you don't get in these pissing contests with all these people. People are either ready to learn the truth or they're not. I don't look at it, if they're not at the same level that I'm at, I don't take offense to that. Everybody has the right to their own truth. I respect that. And when they're ready for more, they will have more.
Yeah.
But we can't expect everybody to be ready at the same time. And there's no point being violent or negative or treating anybody badly. And I said this 1,000 times, I'm going to say it again. You're looking at a 5,000 piece puzzle or 5 million piece puzzle. You can be one puzzle piece short. And unless that person, there's somebody that has that puzzle piece, you still don't have all the answers you're seeking. It takes all of us as a collective to learn anything. We are not in this alone. We should be working together. That's the one thing the forest people teach us. It's a collective universe. It's a collective thought process, a collective consciousness.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if some person has had 10,000 experiences or they just saw a footprint in the snow. That person that saw the footprint in the snow is every bit as important and every bit as passionate about it as everybody else, and they're all part of it. We cannot do it alone.
Yeah, we got to quit associating levels and that talk with ego and stuff, because we're all exactly where we're supposed to be, and so we got to get past that. We got to get past that.
I like that. Yeah.
We got to get past that nonsense.
You cannot have an ego in this. That is the beginning of the end for you.
Yep.
Everybody is at the same level. Everybody just wants to learn, and it doesn't matter. Just like Brian just said, it doesn't matter what level you are. There aren't any levels. It's all part of a collective consciousness of learning.
So Robin,
need each other.
Robin, how do you deal with the people that are on TV building traps for them? And when you go to an event, you see 10,000 people out the door for those guys, but you see 2 at the table of somebody like me. And you just said it. It doesn't matter, Ken. Let the 10,000 go that way. Let the 2 come my way.
Yeah, it makes me sick at heart when I see that. It makes me sick at heart when I see people that are taking them into Bigfoot territories, because that goes against the basic codes. And
hey, Robin, I struggled with that. Robin, I just did it yesterday. I struggled with that. I had to ask them. I did not want to take these people to my first sighting area.
No. Yeah,
and I hope I did not. That's why I'm a little bit distraught today. It's like, did I just lose my child? I hope I did not disconnect with them.
In
I'm showing the other side of it, honey. I'm not trying to show the money side. I'm trying to show the passion is. I don't care about your damn tips or your money or what you give me. What comes out of this, I want you to know more about the Bigfoot.
Look, Robin's talking about. Can I say something? Robin's talking about, but there's a couple different things here, though. Like, because when I host my gatherings, it's different. I have to have people there that are respectful. It's not about levels, and it's not about not including somebody. You have to have somebody there that's respectful, because otherwise it throws the entire energy and everything off of the entire experience.
Like it varies. Barry is not over there grandstanding. He's not saying, hey, this is a fair, let me take you through on a tour bus and like a tour of homes in Hollywood. Barry is over there educating people. He's making sure the utmost respect is paid to the Chitanga as well as to his people. So when I say that, I don't want Barry to feel that I was talking about him personally, because I absolutely was not. The way he does it is respectful. He goes at the pace that the Chitanga want him to. Yeah. And he's educating people. There's a big difference in that, a huge difference. I'm talking about people that, actually, they do tours and they don't care what's going on. Yeah. Anytime I've been asked to do that, what I've done is I've just gone out randomly in the woods and said, okay, we're going to look. I'm going to tell you what I look for signs. This isn't an area that I know there to be in, but, this is what you can do for signs. This is how, if you're going to go into the woods, this is how you're going to be respectful of them. And that's where the place that I go as far as educating them. And I don't really do that. I've gone with people and taken them out in their woods before or whatever. And I don't charge anything for it, and said, okay, when you're here, this is how you're going to be respectful of them. Yeah. These are things that, you can look for. But no, I'm not saying anything against you, Kenny, at all. So don't think I was aimed at you.
I know, honey. I know, but I struggled there. You nailed it on top of me. It's like, man, Kenny. I know.
I wouldn't take them into areas where you normally have them, because at least at Barry's, it's private property there. He has control of who's there and who's not, and he can monitor it. When you go in a state park or whatever, anybody can go there, and you don't know what energy you're bringing in. So these people, you don't know what their energy is and how respectful they'll be. Will they go back later? Mm-hmm. That's a completely different scenario than it varies. Barry has complete control of that. He knows these people. He knows the energy he's bringing in.
Oh, he draws the line very well. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing going on over there. I have the utmost respect for it and appreciation. So, you know, he knows.
So that's what I had to learn with Barry, guys. First knowing about Barry, if everybody's saying, well, they're poor out there, they're going to trick you, they're going to put flashlights out. And I thought, you get into that nonsense? I don't know. Let me go see. I don't think it's like that, guys. They got it all wrong.
No, Barry's
Yeah,
like,
maybe we can go back to Barry, and because
Yeah.
he got his floor taken away from him for a minute. So Barry, could you tell, this is a golden opportunity. You're one of the best researchers in the world from results, because you've had many years. You stopped counting at over 300 sightings, and all the sightings were with people who are on your team. And so it's multiple witnesses. Could you tell, what is your procedure? What is your process, and why, and this thing about how you put faith first into the research?
You know, Michael, I think in the business world, they call it competitive advantage, you know, and I have to say that my brother Derek will always second this, that we reconnected, and how we reconnected, and we can all probably take a guess at how it got disconnected, you know, when the white man came over. At least I've been told that. Today, I don't care about that stuff. You know, what I care about today is, you know, how do we do this the right way? And did we ever think to ask God, you know? And so I agree with a lot what Robin said, Kenny. I mean, I would squatch with those guys any day. Let me say that, Michael. At the same time, you know, I think a lot of it has to do with our approach, and that is prayer. I will say this, that some people believe more than others, and I think that's what Robin was trying to say. And because of your faith, I'll just say it, you know, I've had them come face to face in the physical form, you know.
Yeah.
And that has been beautiful. And again, I don't want to get into the pissing match, because every time I've talked to somebody on a podcast, it just sickens me how somebody tries to one up me. And I just get tired of that world, you know. I just let us live, let us tell our story, you know. And so I really held back on a lot of podcasts, because somebody's always one up on me, and you know, it just irks me a little bit, you know. I don't mind talking, I don't mind sharing, but again, getting back to your question, Michael, I think a lot of it has to do with our faith and our reverence, as Robin's alluding to. There was even a battle amongst our team about, you know, when we first started out, the approach, you know, and then it did feel right, because my team started doing what I would call the finding Bigfoot approach, you know, the wood knocking, and I said, no way, man, this isn't who we are. So in our research, you know, we were told to pray, to be humble, and to ask God, you know, be respectful. And I think, you know, respect goes a long ways. You know, I like what Kenny said, you know, or Robin said, that respect is earned. And I can tell you that this is hard for me to talk about, Michael. And that is that, you know, the Holy Spirit is a revealer of the truth. And with some people, it only goes so far. Like some people just stop and say, what the hell is he talking about now? The Holy Spirit. Even my native people do that to me. But I can tell you that the Holy Spirit is a revealer of truth, you know. And I had to laugh about this, because one of my team members, we were in the bunk, and all right, guys, good night. And he said, Barry, he said, hey, bro, he said, what do you want to be remembered for if you die someday? I said, well, I was a pretty damn good basketball player. I hope they remember me for my basketball first. And I didn't say anything else. He said, well, what about the Bigfoot world? I said, well, I hope Kenny Collins kicks the dirt and say, I don't care anymore.
Care anymore. That's a little one between me and this guy.
A little inside joke. We were squatching, Michael, and then Phil Collins came on, and his song, I don't care anymore. No more. No more.
No more.
So inside joke. But I hope Kenny, Michael, I hope Kenny kicks the dirt and says, doggone it, Barry is a pretty good guy.
Yep.
That's all I want to be remembered for, Michael. Yes, my grandsons will carry on my legacy, brother.
Yeah.
Big shoes to fill.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for giving me the floor back, brother. I appreciate that and your words, because it's all about God for me, man. That's I want to stay true to that. And I don't want to portray myself or be known for somebody who is arrogant based on what he's done in this field. So again, thank you.
From what I've heard of you from before, it sounds like you can get your team, which would be 3 or 4 more cars, and you just pull over the side of the road in the location, and you don't go walking in the woods. You just stand by your trucks and vehicles, and then you have your little ceremony. Is that right? What is that about? What the way it goes?
Yeah, and over time, those areas have developed into what we would call a hot spot. So you're absolutely right, Michael. I don't think about it that way, but yeah, that's true. That's true.
And then you have like in my mind, you have like a route, and you can go from one spot to the next spot, and then and that's your whole night is going from one spot to the next spot, and everybody coming, and then when you're there, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're there, you don't when you go to say your prayers, you don't let anybody interrupt, you don't let anybody talk or anything like that. You have that time alone of respect. And then the Sasquatch all know you, and they come out. If they're there, they come out and look or let you see them.
Michael, I guess with respect to squatching, it's totally different for us. I'm all business. If you know the Webster brothers in the community, it's kind of, I had to laugh one time. My cousin said, nobody likes to bother you guys when you go out there because you guys are older and crabby now.
I go to the bathroom a lot.
You get your butt whipped if you go out there and mess with Derek and Barry while they're squatching. I said, well, I hope I get over that, that stigma. But I said, I don't know if it'd be that bad. You'd have to do something pretty bad for me to get upset. But Derek's another story. So yeah, Michael, I get it. It's special for us, and I suppose we could do our marketing differently, and I suppose we could be touting Premier, and I'll take it. I'll take the title. I never believed it, maybe 10 years into it, but after 15 years now, I think there's something pretty special here, Michael, that we do and we've developed. And who else is going live with iShine up 10 feet in the trees?
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say, Barry, please talk about that. Please talk about that, because I need to know in a closure that night. Did I go to Satanga? What happened to us that night? You were back there, Barry. You led me, and I'm still struggling. I know I went to. Can you talk a little bit about that night?
Hey, Kenneth, let me say this about you, that when you follow the Savior's example, and you told me a story about how somebody tried to fight you or challenged you. Yeah. And I don't know, when you told me that that you forgave him, I knew your heart, man.
All
That
right.
that just, because I struggled with that. I had a lot of pride. I probably got into some bar fights or some drunk fights in my day, and had that pride, and I never thought that I would change my life for the better, inspire people, have this savior, this Christ-like attitude towards everybody. And you have that as well as Robin does. And I knew that it was going to be special. That's why you and I walked away from the group. You remember that?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see how far you could go.
It's like you took my hand and you walked me almost.
Yeah. And I'll say this in front of Michael and Brian Bland, whoever's here, that was special that night, man. And everything you said earlier, I will vouch for. And so that's just the beauty of it, man. I get asked all the time, what are you trying to prove? I said, I don't know that I'm trying to prove anything but share the truth. Is that fair, Michael?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
The experience speaks for itself.
Yeah, I'm not, again, our work speaks for itself, Michael. And like I said, it's just I'm just sitting on the big, there'll be a time and a place where this comes forward,
Barry, what are the Sasquatch people trying to tell us? What are they trying? What's their message for us, or what are they trying to accomplish with working with humans?
Well, let me say this, because I get asked that all the time, and I thank you for asking that, Brian. And I've never heard anybody really answer that, in what I would call acceptable, according to my perspective, if that makes sense. Did that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So then I think they respect the prayer. And I've often tried to understand that, like, what is it that makes you come to me? And I have to believe this, and I shouldn't say that I have to believe, but I know without a doubt that they respect the spiritual side of it. And when I pray for them, I'm praying for their comfort, their safety, and who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want the higher power, his blessing? They're no different. Robin answered a question from you earlier. I heard her talking about, they're everywhere, which I believe that. It's just how we deal with them spiritually is what's different for each and every one of us. Somebody may get a footprint, it's just different. But here's what they want, Brian. Okay. They want God's blessing just like we need them. They love to hear his word. They love his comfort. He's their God too. So they're trying to, in a way, they're telling us that we need the spirituality, the same spirituality. We're all one. Although they have special abilities, like my people have always said, we still share the same God, and they want the goodness that God offers all of us. I rest my case, Brian.
There you go.
You're good.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you. Now, I know you might want to run, but that's exactly what I wanted to hear, because unless you put that spirituality, that true faith in the middle of the research, then what are you researching? You're researching,
Exactly. Michael, I want you sitting in the front seat when we bring forth the man.
I'll be cheering on. Yay! Go!
Hey,
Hey, guys,
Barry, hey, Barry, we need to take a moment just for our buddy, and he was a good part of your group. Boy, he sure could cook a breakfast, and And, you know, a lot of energy comes from our friends, and Terry had a good energy. And I want to tell all you guys out there that thank you for being such a friend.
Yeah.
And
Good
giving
guy, man.
him, and and giving him what most of us won't get. And thank you, Barry. Thank you. Sorry.
Terry was very loved. He will be forever missed. I actually had spoke with him through Texas the night that he passed. And it's devastating. I can't begin to imagine how hard it is for Barry and his group, because they were brothers. They were.
Yeah.
And, you know, my heart goes out to everybody that it affects, but he will be forever missed. And forever loved.
Thank you.
But with faith and with knowing that we're eternal beings, that we go on, it's a little easier for us than it is for somebody who thinks that it's the end, you know, like, you know, like I know people who just think you go on the ground, you rot. That's got to be pretty depressing to think that. Yeah. So there's comfort in that. And yeah, we had Terry on the show, and it was great. We really appreciated having him on, and it was a really good show. And yeah, I was well, I mean, I didn't know him other than for the show, and that we, you know, it was a good experience, but I was sad to see him pass, for sure.
Yeah.
He had a good soul, good spirit about him.
You know, Brian, I could send you 1,000 pictures and not see one, but have this today. I don't need to see 1,000 pictures. I thank you. This was to have Barry on, Robin. I knew I had to have Barry with me when we talked about this. And you know, thank you, man. I mean, thank Barry, Robin. Just saying, this was good today. I hope that it's message that's out there that we can give, that is you guys can attract to. So.
Well, Kenny, could you go into the experience you said was that night? You said that night was something, and what I didn't really get the details about what actually happened. Could you fill that in?
Oh, well, when Barry released me, like he's walking me, and this enormous eye shine, and you could see it go like one way, and then he'd turn and look at you, and you see both of them, and then he turned back around and walk sideways and look back at you. But when he came off that mountain, and you can see it in Barry's video, he came off that mountain like right coming to me, like he was coming at me like right now. And he went down that mountain like in no time. And he's right, something's in front of me. I'm trying to reach out to it. I'm asking Mahalaha. When I'm out there, I ask for Mahalaha to help me. Mahalaha guide me. Mahalaha protect me. I didn't feel any type of dread. It was like, I want to touch you. And I didn't know this, but Barry was saying, oh my God. Or you just say like, but he said something like, it's coming toward you, and it happened. And Barry's got something in his voice. It's like, wait a minute, you know, he's coming to you. He don't do that. I'm like, come into me, brother, come into me, give it to me. You're talking about the spirit, and that man right here talks about air. It is right in front of me, and I can taste it. Man, did I want to taste it. And all of a sudden, boom, you went a little too far. Back it. And I'm like, in respect for Barry, I think I said something to him like, brother. And he's like, Kenny, just come it back it or something. And it's like, I could hear him just getting me back. Brother, I'll let you go, but brother, I'm bringing you back. That's what it was, Mike. It was that. It was a time where I thought, you know, that's why I was called here. I didn't know it's coming. Barry, I was told, Sasquatch told me, buddy, you're coming. I'm going to give you this. And I think it has a lot to do with him wanting to thank me for something that happened, and he wants to thank me for that. And I just want to look at that like, wow, gave me something. I drove away so emotional from you, Barry. My God, I love you people. I feel for you people out there, and I feel for you, immense love for you. So, and you guys have it going, brother. Got it good, man. I don't let nobody take that.
I think it's very important point how you were led to there, how you were guided to go there. I think it's very important for people to realize that we're guided to the people we meet, the people that we're supposed to help and that we meet, and that we're being guided all through this process, and we become more aware of it, especially when we're open up to it. And that's a classic example of that, because look at the dramatic, life-changing thing that happened to you when you went and saw Barry. It's a perfect example of that. And I think as we open up, we realize how that happens, like just for my own personal experience, constantly being led to people, I'm going places, and then people will say something that, and I know the reason why I'm there, because I was led there to say something to them, and vice versa. It happens. It's happening with all of us. And it's like I said, when you open up to it, it's remarkable how we're being guided all the way through this journey. It's really beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Michael,
Yeah.
imagine when people watch our live stream, they from the phone's view, it looks like one eye. But when Kenny talks about, this huge eye shine, that in itself is very intimidating when you see that. So when Kenny talks about it coming towards him, I don't care who you are, that is very intimidating. And so imagine this eye shine just beaming at you, and you just never know what could happen from that. And so I guess I'm trying to highlight the intense moment that was. And Kenny kind of talks about it fast in a way, but I have to tell you that not a lot of people could probably withstand that, Michael. I mean, I've had people who had similar encounters with me. The same time, they were like monkeys crawling all over me. They were so scared when that eye shine started to come closer. So Kenny was really brave, if you ask me. That's what I think sets this apart. He was very brave, and I'm not trying to down anybody, but that is a hard thing to overcome, the fear, of that. I know a lot of locals who would never attempt what Kenny did, let alone come to the area that we were in.
Yeah. Would you say brave and also trust? Because you have to have trust will lead to bravery. When you trust,
But it goes back to mutual respect. Everything we do goes back to the respect. It really and truly does. It's like when I'm here, everybody asks me, why do you get all this interaction? I'm not out in the woods, people. Like, I live in the woods. I'm not out running around the woods. I'm not busting out of their homes. Just like you were talking about Barry, they go in the car and they stop in one area and they do their ceremony. It's about respect. How much respect is it if you're sitting at home and somebody busts in your front door and walks into your living room? There's no respect there. I'm not telling people that they shouldn't go out in the woods, but what I am saying is be respectful how you proceed. I get so much interaction and I don't even have to leave my yard. But because I'm not pushy, Barry's not pushy. This is the thing. And it's not about one-upping anybody, because I don't live my life like that. But the point is, it's all about respect. When that went on with Kenny, there was a mutual respect there as well as that trust. And that's why that was able to happen, and faith.
Yeah.
When Barry has these encounters, there's a mutual respect there. He has so much respect for these beings, and they have it for him.
Yeah.
It's like when I was let to watch the child out in the front yard the other day. I'm crazy if I think that they didn't know I was standing there. I know they did, because they were mind speaking with me. But there's that mutual respect. I don't go out. I don't do the vocals. I've tried twice in my life just to see if I could imitate it. And it was laughable, but I did it. But it wasn't to get a reaction from them. But when you do those things, They know what their vocals mean. We don't. We could be calling them a filthy name for all we know. That's why I choose not to do it. I'm not knocking people that do. This is, my own way of doing things. That's why I don't do it. But like when I was at Barry's, there was nothing but respect shown for Chitanga. And in Barry's group, of which I was fortunate to be included, nothing but respect was shown back to us.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to be invading their space. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy going out in the woods. I do. I'll go out and walk around the woods. That doesn't mean I'm out hunting them down. That's why when people say the word hunt, I get so agitated. I don't track them. I don't do any of these things. You go out with an open heart. You go out there with faith. You go out there and be humble and show them the respect that you wish to have shown back. And that's when things happen.
Yeah, Mr. Beans has never goes to the woods, but he's got a wonderful connection with them. I mean, I connect with them probably more at home now than in the woods because we have that connection, right? So
I wanted to talk about eye shine when we have a minute.
Okay.
Eye shine is, people have this idea about what eye shine is, and maybe Barry Webster can back this up. And what I'd like to do is quote John 1. And John 1 says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And nothing was created that was not created by the Word. And that Word was made light, and that light is the life of mankind." When you see a being that is so filled with light that the light comes out his eyes, your mind may not understand it. Your heart may not fully grasp it, but your soul knows that you're in presence. You're looking at the light of life, and that is the light of God itself. And that's why when you come forward or come close to that light or a being with that light, it is both the wish of your every soul of your being and fear of God. You have the fear of God there. And that's what the fear of God is, because when you take in what that light is, that is God, and that changes you. And that's what calls for the respect, is the light of life. You know what I mean? And that's what the Sasquatch come to teach us. When every time they look at you with that eye shine, with the eye light coming out of their eyes, they're saying, "I am filled with God, and so are you." And that's life-changing.
yeah.
Cool.
Very well.
Barry, who is and I hope I say the name right. Who is Chitanga? Is he an elder, an ancient one? Is he your clan leader? Can you tell us a little bit about him?
Well, can I say this? Watch the movie and I tell you?
Sure.
Is that fair?
Yeah, if that's how you want to answer it, then that's fair. Absolutely.
Yeah. I always go to this story. My sister Linda Jo Bree, who I love dearly. She's an ex-cop, and she messaged me. She said, "Brother, what are you doing?" And this is during the time just starting out. And being an ex-cop, she wanted to see it for herself, and very high integrity kind of person. And so she said, "Brother," she said, "take me," she said, and show me. She said, I have to see it to believe it. And that day I thought, oh man, I got to take sister out. Oh man, you guys don't let me down, because I don't, if there's anybody that would tell the truth, she would. And so I have to admit, I was a little worried about that for most of the day. And the night came and I said, well, all right, let's go. my sister's challenging me, and whatever happens, happens, you know. So I took her and I thought, oh boy, I picked her up and she was ready to go. And Robin, you guys remember Linda, right?
Mhm. Oh, she's wonderful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So she put me on the spot. And so I was wondering if, you know, I have to admit, I said a little prayer and said, all right, well, let's do it. And so while we were writing, she said, brother, I'm not trying to be so much of a critic, but, you know, I just have to see this for myself. And I thought, hey, we're going, right? She said, yeah. She said, we're going. And so I thought, all right. So I took her to a spot. And what people don't realize is that me and my brother Derek, we were the biggest critics, you know. That's something I never tell, you know, but we were the biggest critics. Now we're the biggest advocates. But getting back to my story now, Linda and I got out and it had just rained. It started to rain and then it slowed down. So it was just a light little sprinkle when we got out of the car. And I got out and I thought, well, all right, let's pray. And as I was praying, asking them who they were. Now, Michael, I wish you and Brian would have been there. I wish everybody would have been there. But they literally answered my questions while I was praying. And to me, again, that was another one of those reminders that, Barry, you know, we are real. You know, this isn't something, you know, we're messing with. You know, this is real. And for a cop, an ex-cop to look at me and say, I heard enough, you know, then I knew it was over. You know, there was a reason. I was reminded again that this is special. And you know what I'm talking about when I say special, you know. And if you've seen what we have, you know, you were blessed. So Michael Harrell, Robin McCray, Kenneth Collins, you were blessed. And everybody else will just have to wait, you know. So
I know.
I don't even know if I answered the question. Did I, Michael? Or Brian, whoever asked?
You're fine, bro.
Hey, let me ask you one more question, Barry. And this is not a so you're a Christian man. What would you say to Christians who would say that, and this is not a criticism because at all, so please don't take it like that. I wanted an affirmative affirmation from you that you could give to other people. So what would you say to another Christian person who doesn't have our perspective or your perspective, and would say that talking to Sasquatch is demonic, or listening to mind speak, or all these things are against God or whatever? What would you say? What would you say to them? And I don't believe that at all. So, you know, I do not believe that. But what would you say to them?
I guess I have been kind of answering that question, but here's what I say today, that just respect what we've experienced, you know. I have a tendency to kind of answer in a very direct way to local traditionalists, you know, especially my family. My family always says, well, Grandpa said, stay away from them, you know, leave them alone, stay away from down bottom. And I prayed about that, you know, and I love and respect my grandpa. In fact, there's a little jealousy over me because they say I look like my grandpa, you know. So don't think that I'm trying to disrespect my grandpa, somebody who I love dearly, who's been a big inspiration in my life. So we had to kind of knock down that belief of, or this superstitious belief about leave them alone. You know, we have a motto within our tribe, but we have this saying, against the current. So the Missouri goes south and the Omahas go against the current. And I believe that was part of my spirit, that we had to ask God. I had to find the truth out, and the truth has been revealed. It has been more than revealed. You know? I think here's what I try to say to them: just keep an open mind. You know, you can't sit on a computer and judge somebody. You know, you can't you know, impose your beliefs on anybody, you know? And so I would say just sit back and one day, you know, you'll find, you'll know the truth, you know? And so I don't, again, not that you asked that, I just say, you know, that God created everything, you know, and if anybody tells anything differently than that, then they're full of shit, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I know without a doubt that they exist and that there's something really special about them, you know?
What is it about them that tells you that they're of the light, or of good, and of I mean, we're all of God, but what is it about the Sasquatch that resonates with your heart that tells you that they're from the light, or of a good purpose? And
Well, it was for me, and this is what I can't talk about with a lot of people, and I don't attempt to talk in depthly about them, if that makes sense. The Holy Spirit intervened several times. And I say that because when you're face to face with a 10-foot giant and he's looking at you like this, you know, you have to ask yourself, you know, a lot of questions, obviously, but why didn't he come down and physically attack me? Why didn't he, if he's some dumb beast, why didn't he growl and really intimidate me? Instead, he ended up being very respectful when he had an opportunity to really intimidate me. So what's special about them? It's I know through the Holy Spirit that they're under the same test we are. Their physical appearance is just different. And the love I felt for them. You know, if I told you guys, and again, I'm gonna encourage you to watch the movie. Don't, as my kids say, don't be a hater, you know. The love that they have shown me, especially Ishage. And it's just a beautiful feeling, you know, and here I am, a guy who would much rather be watching NCAA tournament today. I'm taking the time, even though there's a storm forming outside my house. You know, you guys, you drawn me in now because I was going to go start shoveling and checking on things. But today I can tell you that they're just as loving as anybody else. And if you get negative aggression, then you're doing something wrong. Because I don't believe that's in their nature. There's a covenant with them and God that they can't do things to physically hurt us. And so I don't know if I went or answered your question, Brian, but
but I would also add that, and we've all felt this, anybody who's felt their love, when they send you their love and whatever that energy, there is no way that is from any malevolent source. It is just so powerful, so pure, and so strong that you just know. So, I mean, just that alone is all you really need to know. Just experiencing that.
We've asked
Brian, to sum it up, excuse me, Robin. Brian, to sum it up, they taught me that God is real and that he has the ultimate plan for us.
That's the teaching there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And they all,
amen, guys.
and like you said, they also, well, one of my teachings is that we're all one and all connected. So, you know, and to not judge and to not, you know, no division and that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
Well,
they are of God. They are of the creator, and they
they'll
are.
tell you they are. Like I've asked them, a very good friend of mine, the ones that she speaks with, she's asked hers, and they will all tell you that we're all children of God. They come from God. I mean, they are not hesitant about it. They don't have to think about it. They just will be outright and say, this is it, you know? And I think it's whatever you put forth out in the universe is going to come back at you. You know, I agree with Barry. Don't be a hater. Have an open mind. You may not understand it. You may not have experienced it. That doesn't mean it's not real.
You know, and I think
It means that
that's,
your time will come.
I think that's one of the, you know, when I think of their message or whatever, I think that's the way that you could say it, is that their message, and it's, you know, in a nutshell, is that we are all of God. Because when you realize that and the connection, the division and the hatred and the judgment or whatever, it has to go away.
It has.
I'm Brian, Michael, I'm gonna go out on a limb because I gotta head out here. I want to publicly on your show invite you and Michael down to our next event here in April. That's my offer to you on your show. I would love for you and Michael to come down. Don't worry about food or lodging. We'll take care of it.
What are the dates? I got to check my
Look on the page.
Send us in a message. That you don't have to say it now.
Okay.
How often do you have them, Barry? Because I do definitely want to come down. But if it's conflicting with something, I may not be able to make this time. I'm not saying I won't, but I do want to come.
We do them I want to say every third our second week, our third week of the month. So this one here, we had to postpone because the pipes broke in the cabins that we rent. So we're kind of shuffling some things around. But I think this one's April 7th. We'll post here today. So look on the page. I think it's April 7th through the 9th. So we go from Friday to Sunday morning is when we depart. But here's an open invitation, and I don't always offer this. So Michael, you and Brian have an open invitation on your show from the CEO himself, Barry Webster. You're welcome to come down.
Yeah. Hey, but can I ask you respectfully, if by chance I can't make it this time because I live a long way away, will it be an open offer for moving forward or whatever too?
Yeah, it could be, Yeah. I'm not gonna say no to that.
Okay. I definitely want to come. I just don't know. I just don't know when exactly I can, but I do want to come. I mean, I'm married too, right? So I have to run it by the wife. But you'll like her too, because she's very similar to, well, she thinks just like all of us do. She's also got a connection with Sasquatch. So wonderful. I hope I can invite her too.
Yeah. Hey, Kenny, Robin, I love you guys.
Love you too, sweetheart.
Love you too, brother. I don't care anymore.
Hope to see you soon, sweetheart.
Yeah, Michael, Brian, thank you guys. Kenny, thanks for having me. Join you. Hey, everything that man says is true. Michael, peace to you and Brian. Love your show. Take care.
God
bless,
bless,
my friend. Thanks, our friend. See you later.
Yeah.
Wow. You might actually get out of the house there, Mr. Beans.
Yeah, I might. See, it's a whole different deal if I can get on a plane, get an airplane ticket, and then go sleep on a cabin, and then I don't have to worry about camping out and stuff like that.
Camping out's fun. I'm going to do that tonight, right after the show. I'm going camping.
Set up, I got a camp stove, heater, and stereo, and maybe TV.
Latte.
Latte.
Nah, I don't know,
machine.
man.
gotta have
I
my
like it.
latte
I like it
machine.
out. I like it out in their area camping.
And then for dinner, there's a rice cooker. I need a rice cooker.
There you go.
Yeah, man. You just need a fire and you need some Jiffy Pop and hot dogs and
There you go.
marshmallows and s'mores, and that's about it. You camp, Robin?
I did at Barry's. I used to camp when I was not a lot when I was a kid, but I do enjoy it. And it's been years. Last time I camped, I was at Barry's place. It was fun.
Yeah. I got to go for sure. I mean, I got to go. I will be going, but I'm just not sure if I can make it in April, but soon. But we
Gotta
should
make
try
it
to
out
hook up
there.
and we should hook up and do it at the same time as Mr. Bean. It'll be the Pork and Beans live on, well, we won't do any live on location, but we'll actually be live together.
Yeah.
That'd be fun, actually.
Yeah. That would be.
When's the last time you two shook hands or even met? Just curious.
Never.
Never.
No, we're transcontinental.
Wow. And how long have you guys been together now?
Together.
I'm not,
Like we're not a couple.
well, doing the podcast. Doing the podcast.
I'm joking. We've been doing it 4 years now.
Yeah.
Over 4 years.
Wow.
4 years.
I've known you at
3
least a
years.
couple there. Yeah.
3
Other
years.
dog. Huh. 3 years. Good day.
I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah, 4 years.
Codependent relationship.
Yeah, we fight like a old married couple. Well, you've seen that, Robin.
Oh yeah, I'm shaking my head over here.
Yeah.
But
There was
they
one
love and
show-
adore each other. So.
There was one show we had a real big fight, actually. It was sometimes it's just minor little skirmishes, but sometimes we actually get along too for the whole show. Oddly.
I know. Impressive.
Yeah. So do you want to talk? Do you want to share some more stuff, Kenny? It's your show.
Yeah.
We've been
Share
going on
more.
2.5 hours, but we got a
Share
little
more
time.
Yeah, I'm
S'mores.
gonna have to get going here soon too.
S'mores. Share s'mores.
Well, hang in.
You know,
Hang in with us for a few minutes, Robin.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I will.
I guess appreciate Robin coming and Barry and, to have him with me and, to talk about what happened out there and what's happened between me and Robin in our days. And, I guess, there's not much more to say, but I hope everybody enjoyed the podcast and that you really get a sense on what we feel out there. And, when you do get it, look out. It's a life-changing experience. It changes everything in your life. And it's the Sasquatch want it that way. Why me? Why is it doing this? Why me? You're going to have a lot of that. And there's good and bad in it. And but having Barry here today helped me a little bit. I was struggling a little bit with Chatonga and what I went through that night. And then to have that with you guys today, that was like me having a 3-hour therapy session. I don't have to pay for it.
Well, that's awesome.
Sasquatch
Okay.
therapy. I bet you there's somebody right now trying to figure out some way to make Sasquatch therapy. You go out in the woods and, hang out with Sasquatch for a therapy reason.
Well, Ron Myers and them are speaking something like that right now, Robin, with a spiritual Bigfoot retreat.
Oh, there
That's
you go.
exactly what you asked. Exactly. And they don't have too many of those. So you would likely go out into the woods and they would do the spiritual, that's exactly what Barry's doing. And Ron wants to bring meditation in and all that. So
Oh, yeah, that would work.
look out for that.
I kind of think that my little gatherings are kind of like that, except they're just very organic. We just
And not enough
I think-
tacos. Not enough tacos to be spiritual.
yeah. So who is this guy, Ron Myers? Tell us about him. I never heard of him. Ron Myers, did you say?
Yeah, Ron and Alan Meegargle, those are the ones who did the movie Alien Contact in the Rockies. What did they do, Robin? They did a lot of 4 or 5 movies out there.
Bigfoot Alien Connection,
Content,
and we've
yeah.
got Vista Bray Road in Bigfoot this year over at the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference, and they've done some other ones as well.
Yeah. So they're producers and
Well, that's good that more people are trying to do this kind of stuff. I think that's the way to go about it.
yeah, they want
Yeah.
to connect. They want to do that connection thing. I think the the spiritual part of it. So I
Yeah.
think it's good.
Yeah. Are you, by the way, Robin, are you considering coming up in September to my little gathering?
I would love to. If it's possible to do it, then yeah, I would do it. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to or not. I've got a couple things that are really important going on in September, and I kind of absolutely have to be here for that. And so it depends. We'll see how things go, but I would like to, yes.
It's going to be, it'll be amazing. And
Oh,
if you're
yeah.
there, it was just going to be like,
Yeah, I would love to.
phenomenal.
Like I said, something came up that I was unforeseen, and we can talk about that later, you and I. But
what dates? I mean, it's the 18th to the 23rd.
this would be right around the 11th. So if all things go well, it's a possibility, but we'll see.
And you
If
too,
not-
Kenny, by the way, you too, obviously,
thank
you're
you.
invited if you want to come.
Yeah.
Actually,
Thank
I don't invite anybody. Ari invites them. He
Yeah,
just, I mean, I'm not dumb. I can tell who belongs there or whatever,
Yeah,
but he
exactly.
still has the final word, like.
yeah. So yeah, I would love to though.
Yeah, me too.
Can you
Okay.
travel to Canada, Ken?
Well, I was funny how you were talking to Ron Myers the other day, and he says I can't travel because of the DUI laws, and I'm fine. I can travel. But
What DUI
I thought,
laws?
Yeah. Well, Canada won't let you in. Got DUI. That's what Ron meant by all that. He can't
DUI?
go. Yeah, he can't go. I'm not saying Don's got DUI, but he was just saying that. Remember, you invited him, and he said he couldn't make it because of Canadians' laws, and there's a law if you have a DUI, you can't go to Canada. So,
Yeah.
but
Well,
uh,
as long
I
as you
can
don't
make
get
it.
caught, I guess. No, I'm just joking. No,
Oh my
it's
God.
not breaking the
Oh, wait
law
a
unless you
minute
get caught,
there.
right?
Yeah. Well, you guys, I have to go.
Bye,
Um,
Robin.
It's been wonderful to see you guys. I love every
Yeah.
one of you. Kenny, I'll be seeing you next month.
Yeah, guys, at the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference is
Yep.
going to be our 6th year.
Yeah.
Right, Robin?
Awesome.
Yep.
It's going to be the third weekend of the month, on Friday and Saturday. Let me see, check my dates
And
here.
the
You know
showing
what?
of the
I write the
movie-
date. Yeah.
Showing of
it's
the movies on Friday night at IMAX Theater. The Beast
And-
of Ray Road. Right,
Yeah.
Robin?
Yeah, and it's funny because I have to write this date because I'm helping Harriet with it this year a million times, and then I go to say it and my mind goes blank. 21st and 22nd of April.
Yeah.
Such a good show. I'm just touched by this show. So much energy, so much alignment, so much
Yep.
Love.
information. It was
Yeah.
just
It's all
wonderful.
about the
It
love.
was, guys. It
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you so much for letting me be part of it.
Yeah, I guess we'll wrap up.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's end on a good note. And
Okay.
besides, I kind of want to get up into the woods.
There
Yeah,
you
it's all
go.
right.
Energy.
If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, like,
Yeah.
ring
Oh.
the bell, tell your friends. Yeah.
Just before you go, Robin, what's Ari saying?
He's
That I'm
just
camping
smiling. He
tonight.
says he will meet you soon, my friend.
I
Love
think
you,
I'm going to
Robin.
I think I'm going to have
Bye,
a face to
sweetheart.
face. I'm going to have a face to face with him at some
You
point.
will. I think you will
Absolutely.
too.
And that's going to be, that's, when you have a face to face, well, you can't have a face to face with a 12+ footer, but we'll
You'd
have
be
it. We'll have
amazed when they crunch down. I've had where they crunch down so they can look at you in the eye, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's such a trust there that, I mean, it'll be like magical and mystical and like weird and like what the F the
Yeah.
hell is going on.
You like
But
that
I
first
know I
kiss.
won't be scared because there's such a love between us and a trust.
Yeah.
So it's going to be good. And I think you have to get
Yeah.
to that point before that can happen. So
That's
I'm
right.
looking forward to it.
Amen.
Well, you
Okay.
guys take care. I love you. Thank you for having me on. And see you soon, Kenny. Love you guys.
Yeah.
Bye, Brian.
Thanks,
Bye, Mike.
thanks, Barry.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
All
Robin.
right, thanks for
Kenny.
showing
Thank
up.
you.
Thanks for everybody in the audience for some great
Yeah,
comments. We
thanks
had
for
some.
spending the time with us.
Hey, Kenny, go by the comments when you're done, when you get around to it on and say hello to everybody.
I sure will. Thanks, everybody.
So on behalf of hold on. So on behalf of Port Cunningham and the world's handsomest man, Frank Oliver Haynes, this has been the Pork and Bean Show. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you to Robin McCray, our old friend, for not old in age, for stopping in. Kenny Collins. And, of course, Barry Webster. Thanks to everybody. That was a good show, and we appreciate you all, and we will see you on the next show, which is coming up next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye, guys.